the Northern Virginia Community College students' frequency of use of the campus fitness center. And this was for, obviously, this class, psychology, research and methods. And yeah, let's get started with this. So basically, my problem statement, really the real reason as to why I got into the whole, how many students, why they're using it, how frequently they're using it. It all began with me a while ago looking up how everybody was really doing in terms of physical education. Last year at my other school, Randolph-Macon College, I got really into getting into my physical side, and I'm getting a little bit more fit, running, and eating right. So hand in hand with that, I did some research on that. It got me a little bit more involved into everything that I had learned in my previous class that same semester called health psychology, in which I learned habits about certain aspects of humans' lives and their whole scheduling and keeping certain habits that are good in their lives. And that's how I took a turn and went into looking a little bit more as to how often students are exercising, if they're exercising enough in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So from that, I looked at a couple papers, considering this one right now. There's a study conducted on college students at specific campuses that showed that even though students are aware of certain facilities available to them in their specific campus, the ones that are aware of it tend to use it maybe once a week, and only about 2% will actually use it 3 or more times per week. So I thought that was really interesting that, and considering other studies that I also took a look at, for example, the one that showed how little a lot of students are aware of the facilities. I thought that this one sort of showed that despite, even though they are aware of these facilities, not many of them are taking advantage like they should. So I thought that was interesting. And the purpose of my study is to find out at which frequency Northern Virginia Community College students are using the campus fitness center. So out of the ones who are using it, not necessarily looking at the ones who aren't using it, how often are they coming in? Are they actually using it more than 2 or 3 times a week? Are they exercising enough to maintain a healthy lifestyle? It's known that all over the country, college students have a really, really bad reputation for keeping up with their healthy fitness lives, and I think that's something really important and it needs to be taken care of. And yeah. Major research questions and sub-questions. Well, do students at Northern Virginia Community College frequently use the campus gym? Would be the main question. I just want to know if people are getting in there enough. Then, of course, sub-questions will pop up. How often are they using it? Are they using it on a monthly basis? Some students may perform the physical activities outside of campuses. Why do these students prefer to exercise off campus? The ones that do not use the gym, of course. And there are students that do not have a place to exercise off campus and still don't use the campus facilities. My hypothesis statement was that some students that are aware of the gym will use it. However, exactly how that one study showed, that they don't use it very often, my hypothesis was that they won't be using it more than once or twice a week, at most. So, and this could vary significantly, because you could have a student that could easily have worked out every single day over a period of 1 month or 2 months, and you could have the same student not work out for the next 3 months. So, it's a hard study to conduct. There'd be a lot of factors taken into place to really seeing not only why they're the person themselves, why they are getting themselves to work out, and then of course everything around them that is affecting the little amount of motivation that they could potentially have. And it's really about creating the best environment to help out somebody in need, which is clearly a large amount of the population that college is. My theoretical framework, college students aren't performing enough physical activity. Proximity to a facility is likely to induce more physical activity, and that is why I stress how important it is to have a gym promoted, to have a gym updated, for it to be appealing, especially to people who spend so much time right across the street from it. Also, educating students about health, like I said, those are some of the types of interventions. Educating students can also help improve the amount of physical activity they do weekly, as well as incentives to exercise, such as free classes, like having like a Zumba class on Thursday nights, or having a futsal soccer night on Tuesday nights. Sort of those types of things that can be interventions that can be done. First studies have proved that many interventions, such as having a closer facility or adding classes that are free to a tuition, can have a significant improvement in the amount of physical activity that the whole student body is performing. Not necessarily specific to whether they're a boy or girl, everybody basically. As to my limitations, there were a lot of limitations, obviously, just like I mentioned earlier. I wish that I would have had a bigger group. I only had 20 groups in my sample design. That's not big. I had 10 per group. I wish that I could have had a larger group, just because, especially with Northern Virginia being community college, being such a large college, we have a vast amount of people. We can't have those vast amount of people represented with just 20 people. It would just be simply impossible, as well as adding better survey questions that would be more specific, a little bit more complex maybe in the way that they're written, but more specific. For example, instead of just knowing the frequency that students are using the gym, I'm not necessarily finding out why they are using it not as frequently, because I could ask the question to a person, why don't you use the gym? And I could find out why they don't use the gym. But for a person who does use the gym, it's a little bit harder to find out why they don't use it frequently or why they use it frequently. If you understand where I'm coming from a little bit. So yeah, those are some of my limitations overall during my process of doing this study. As to my literature review, there are many factors that contribute to college students not exercising enough in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle, meaning not developing cardiovascular disease, heart problems, these types of things. And some don't have nearby facilities, some are not aware of campus facilities, like I said, and others choose not to exercise in general. And the study conducted on a minority group of college students suggested 2/3 of them showed potential health risks. So they are showing health risks, not only they're not exercising, and some of them are just choosing not to do it, but not everybody is aware that they can not only become obese or a little bit bigger, but they're actually putting their lives in danger to a certain extent. The overview of the literature, studies show how different types of interventions that have been explored in order to induce more physical activity among college students, such as promoting facility, events, and education. These interventions have revealed that they do have a positive impact on college students. However, the impact is not enough to make sure all college students are getting a healthy amount of physical activity. So, for example, like that one study that I was talking about, for the most part, students did begin to increase the amount of physical activity that they were performing. However, could you really imagine fitting, the whole student body in one single class? You couldn't. Not everybody's going to be interested in specific classes. Everybody's going to have a different motivation for going to the gym. Everybody's going to have different incentives. So it's not about just focusing on one individual thing, and that's sort of what took me a little bit away from what I was really looking for when I say frequency of use. I didn't want to limit myself to staying just frequency of use. I wanted to see some of those tiny details, whether certain things that would make them use it more. I didn't want to just stay at that frequency. I wanted to find out not only what the problem was or whether there was even a problem to begin with, but I wanted to see if I could find out maybe a little bit more as to what I could do as a potential intervention maybe in a future study where I could actually implement an intervention and perhaps see if that does have an effect in the amount of physical activity that not only certain students are using, but just the general whole student body. And that's where I would also love to add more applications. Unhealthy college students, and college students, like I said, are highly likely to develop poor habits when it comes down to their time spent doing physical activities. They already have so much responsibilities on their hands. A lot of them is their first year on their own. They can get overloaded. They stop thinking about certain things. A lot of people are eating really, really, really unhealthy at colleges. They run out of time to do certain things, and they just don't pay attention to those details anymore. They're more focused on what they're really there for, which is of course getting the grades that they want. Interventions to promote exercise. Some of these interventions, such as creating physical activity events, have revealed to have a positive impact on more daily physical activity among all students. However, this impact is not significant enough. Research assigned study methods found in literature. Since college students aren't only exercising enough, but due to its developing potential cardiovascular health problems, reporting their body mass index, waist circumference, and blood pressure is more important in order to determine the severity of the potential health risk. Determine demographical factors, age, gender, and age is also very important when determining results. A lot of these I wasn't able to put into my study as much as I would have, especially considering the limitations that I had when gathering, for example, a group that did use the gym. So I didn't have that advantage of being able, to choose whether I wanted it to be a girl or whether I wanted it to be a boy or for a certain ethnicity. Since I did find a lot more papers saying that a lot of the immigrants from different countries are the ones in more health risk problems, specifically just minorities in general, which I wish I would have been able to be more specific in that sense, but I couldn't just because of the amount of time and the amount of resources available that I had, as well as not being able to really measure people's circumferences and all that good stuff, only being limited to surveys. Research findings and discussions. Well, I mainly focus on the results part on seeing the both groups that I had, which are the users of the Campus Fitness Center and the non-users of the Campus Fitness Center. And in those two groups, I wanted to see how often they were exercising collectively, not individually as groups, but collectively. I wanted to see if they were getting out enough and what kind of exercises they were performing. And this right here shows for both groups specifically the Gradine Time Leisure Exercise Questionnaire, and it shows that for the most part students were not exercising strenuously enough in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle, which I had rated at doing 3 or 4 times a week. Only about 30% of the group that did not use the gym actually performed enough exercise to maintain themselves physically active enough to not develop health risks. However, for the most part, they were all really just doing mild exercise throughout their week, just walking, whether it's sitting outside and reading a book. They weren't really doing any type of real strenuous exercise to show that they were exercising enough throughout a 7-day period. Of course, this data could be skewed considering the little amount of people that did have the surveys information available from. But as far as what my study showed, it still reveals that students are not exercising enough to maintain a healthy lifestyle on a 7-day period. Now my second chart right here shows the frequency of views results, which actually supported my hypothesis. My hypothesis was that students would generally only be using it 1 or 2 times per week if they did know about it and did attend the campus facility. They all used it on their own time, so all of them didn't use it necessarily because of a class, so that was good as well. However, only one person used it 3 or 4 times per week. So that shows clearly that even though they do know about it, maybe they're just using it because they need to, not necessarily because they want to. And using it because you need to, if you're a person that works out every single day, then of course you're going to have to work out that day because it's just your motivation, but it's not everybody's motivation. So it shows that the majority are not using it as much as they should, and they're not getting out what they could get out of a free facility that's immediately available to them and nearby somewhere where they spend most of their day at. And in versions to promote exercise, so what students thought, I got a lot from my survey of non-users of the fitness center. I got a lot of information as to how they really felt about the gym, and I was also surprised that for the most part we were correct about what we had gone over in class, about specific things why they didn't use it. A lot of them, if not all of them, said that it was because it wasn't updated enough, with a few of them agreeing that maybe if there were classes implemented into the class, and about 50% agreed that if there were classes implemented into the fitness center, then they would agree to attend, and 100% of them said that if it was updated, they would consider attending as well. Nearby fitness center. It is not only important to make sure that the fitness center and all colleges are kept up to date for its usage, but because studies have suggested that students are more likely to exercise when they have a nearby facility too. So it's not just important to have a good campus center to have a good campus center. Studies are supporting that having something nearby to where you spend most of your time at is extremely likely to increase the amount of physical exercise that you're doing on a 7-day period. So it is important to make sure that not only do we have a nice place to go to, but providing it as a college, as a community, to really keep up and seeing if students are getting into our facility. I mean, the facility is already there. You could do Even if you didn't, make it the best fitness center there is, you could certainly upgrade, especially because the space is already there, and you could add additions to it. You can make cost-efficient interventions in order for people to become a little bit more aware that it is there, or that it is offering what most gyms would offer. Gaps in understanding and research. The study was able to take a look at how frequently students who did use the campus fitness center use it. However, the reason for so little frequent use was not really known. So in essence, we are knowing that they're not using it enough, but I think that there was a big loss in the study and not really understanding why they're not using it frequently. They are using it, like why are you using it but not frequently? So in that sense, I would have wished that I could have added a little bit more detail into my questionnaire that was assessing not only how often they go in, but their motivational background when it comes down to exercising over the past years, whether they've had a history of always not exercising, or whether they had experiences exercising and they had a bad experience that completely stopped them from exercising, and those types of things that I wish I could have been a little bit more specific about, but due to the time I was not able to create a questionnaire good enough in order to assess those aspects as well. As my key findings, out of the students who don't use the campus fitness center, only 30% are actually performing exercise at a different facility, and the rest are without a place to exercise and are not really learning how to become more fit. Only 30% that don't use the gym are actually using the gym outside. The other ones are just being 100% sedentary or either just walking or maybe throwing a ball around outside. It's not like they're exercising even a little bit. They're not really exercising at all. So I think that's a big deal. Implications and recommendations for further study. Like I said, it's important to take account the small pool of students that was used in the study. It's not enough. 20 people is not enough to cover the whole Northern Virginia Community College, even Loudoun campus student body. It is also important to take into account that there are students that exercise more often on some seasons than others. And that's something that you couldn't really deal with unless you were closely paying attention to when they're going. Maybe if I got some way of being able to track where they are at a certain time, say for a month or two, I could get a little bit better data just by actually knowing that they are doing their exercises and the type of exercises that I could do. I mean, there are endless things that I could really do in order to make this study better, whether it's from recording the amount of calories that they're burning to this specific amount of time that they're spending either doing cardiovascular activities or lifting weights or stretching, to being able to know when they're at the gym, stuff like that. And yeah, those are my references and that's my study.
Very good.